Man, LPs are great. Someday I should do an LP of my own. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting something? Hello, I am Lost Generation. The game is MediEvil. Let's play inside the Asylum. It's quite a short level this time, but also a frantic one. I'd suggest stocking up on ammo before you enter it. And especially chicken drumsticks. The zombies in this level actually have the same health as the ones in the graveyard, the first level. They don't seem that threatening health-wise, but they are the hardest hitting enemies yet, I believe, outside bosses. They do 75 damage a hit, and later on in the level there will be mobs of them. I think I've said before that other than when you're using a life bottle, you have no invincibility frames, so they can... Look, I've died in practice runs. These guys can kill you very quickly if you let them. My advice is to use ranged weapons only, because when you get in melee range they do a lunge attack. Even though longer range weapons like the broadsword might seem okay, when I tried it, it didn't work. It may just be me. But the axe kills them in one hit, and it doesn't cost any ammo, so might as well use that. This is the entire level, by the way. You defeat all the enemies, and then you open the door to the next room. And it's one reason it's short, but also why I die so much. There's... Generally, you may notice, the normal enemies in the game aren't usually that hard. They're, barring a few, like the scarecrows and things, they're not usually that threatening. So this level is quite different. There's no boss fight, but the enemies hit hard and there are loads of them. The thing I found that works best is just keep moving. Because as long as they're far away from you, the zombies are slow. But I think you'll see it at some point. When you get near that. It's hard to see, but they suddenly speed up and just lunge into you. So as long as you're far away, that won't happen. I said when I got the axe that it's not as good on fast and small enemies. I had the bats and also the imps in mind for this. The axe misses quite often, and if you miss you have to wait until you can throw it again. So since the bats die in one hit, I am using the crossbow. I know I said that weapons usually become useless, but this level is the exception. Plus if you try and use only one weapon you'll run out of ammo for it, so you probably will have to use all of them. Unless you have the chicken drumsticks. When I said that I was saving them for a level, this is the level. Though it's not the hardest level in the game, it is the one with the most enemies. And certainly the most enemies at once. While the chicken drumsticks will still be useful in later levels, if you need to use all of them to get through this one, then do. The large zombies, I think, are also the weaker variant. They kind of have the same health as the first time you meet them, not the stronger version like Return to the Graveyard. I actually find them less threatening than normal guys. But also, the bats don't count towards finishing this floor. You could try and ignore them, though I prefer not to because they mess up your aim. But you don't have to kill them to finish it. And these enemies are... I believe they're unique to this level. I don't think you don't see them anywhere else, in fact. I'm quite sure of that. The inmates are really fast, but they can flinch. In fact, there aren't many enemies that don't. If you use the flaming longbow, it is a one-hit kill eventually, but as soon as it hits them, they stop attacking you. And because it fires faster than the axe, I prefer it for this part. The axe also kills them in one hit. You can't hit as many of them in the same amount of time. It's slightly not a gameplay thing, but I do feel bad about killing these enemies. The villagers you weren't allowed to kill because they were hypnotized by Zarok, and they weren't actually evil, but these guys, I get the impression they're not evil either, they're just a bit crazy. Though they're still not the most politically incorrect enemies in the series. That honor goes to MediEvil too. And I don't want to spoil that, even though it's quite a ways off. Though if you don't have the chicken drumsticks, the axe is certainly one of the better weapons. Otherwise you will be using lots of ammo. The spear would work as well. It hits hard and it fires fast, but I said before, ammo is limited and expensive, so I prefer to save it for boss fights. Still, if you run out of everything else, it's better than melee weapons. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but those cannons are quite easy to avoid. Another reason to keep moving. They shoot it where Dan was a few seconds ago, so just don't stand still. I've never managed to knock enemies into that lava. I tried in previous runs to jump onto the same side as them and hit them in with the hammer or the small sword. They always stop just short of it or go over it. It still works in your favour though, because you only have to fight one side of the room at a time, and the other side will bunch up next to lava, which as you just saw means that the chicken drumstick takes them out. Though it appears to only hit up to 5 enemies at a time. Even when there's loads of them munched together, I've never got more than 5 with one drumstick. Which is fair enough, it's already the most powerful weapon. Needed some limitation. I would point out, I've had some runs end because enemies, of course if you hit them, they don't go into lava, but if they hit Dan, he gets pulled in immediately. I think it's the standard effect of hazards being magnetic to video game protagonists. That was the end of the level, by the way. It took about 6 minutes. As I said, especially if you try and use melee weapons, you can die in that level quite easily.
By heck, am I glad to see you. That zealot tried to force me to hand over the shadow artifact. He means to release the demons from their tomb under the enchanted forest, but I said to myself, "You can't touch me, you lanky windbag. I'm the Mer." Aye, that told him. But then he had me locked up in here with all these nutters. Oh, it's been terrible. I haven't managed to get a word of sense out of anyone in weeks. Right. Well, I'll see myself out, thanks. You have a good look around, lad. Zarek's left some stuff lying about that I think you might find useful.
I can't decide which insult I prefer for Zarok. Skirt-wearing bully boy, or lanky windbag. Though they were both said by the mayor, which makes him the best character. Also, I would normally question why he's so calm about a reanimated skeleton, and why Zarok left the dragon gem with him. But I recently got a mouse to scare a hedge elephant into smashing down a wall, so, you know, priorities. I do try and check beforehand to see if I can get anything other than the gold shield, but I have to get it this time. It's not bad, it's just a bit boring compared to all the other unlocks. Well, except maybe gold.
Ah, Herr Fortescue, you are back on the battlefield, yeah? This is good. People say to me, "Stungard, what do you think of this sword or that axe?" But I say to them, "Nein! Modern warfare is a question of science, the science of shields." I think maybe you should take my shield, yeah? It is magic, Herr Fortescue. Some say it is better to have a magic sword than a magic shield, but I say to use it, this is rubbish! So long as you use it properly, the shield will make you invincible!
Dan didn't seem too enthusiastic about the gold shield, and I can understand that. It isn't bad, but it doesn't do anything interesting. It has as much health as the copper and silver shields combined, but there are no replacements. You have to pay money to repair it, which isn't cheap. And since the game pauses in the inventory and the other shields are free, I never repair the gold shield. I will use it until it breaks. Once it does, you can alternate the silver and copper shields to get the same amount of defense. And not spend any money. But for the time being, I'm finally going to Enchanted Earth. I slightly lied when I said I'd go as soon as I got the Shadow Artifact. For the time being, that's the end of the video, and thank you for watching.